I would like to share the preface from my autobiography, which is entitled Sitting in the Rain, Waiting for My Rainbow. Today marks the beginning of a very exciting and scary journey that I am now prepared to take you on. Throughout the course of this book, I will expose many of the deepest and darkest aspects of who I am as a person and how I became this way. I must admit that I used to be the type of person who believed that only famous people were worthy of having autobiographies written about their lives. But as of late, I have discovered that many of life's lessons can be found and learned through the experiences of ordinary people. I'm also aware of the fact that the story that I'm about to tell you is not really that different than those of thousands upon thousands of other young boys and girls in both America and all around the world and what they've had to endure. However, let me reassure you that there is a uniqueness to mine, given that we are all unique individuals and therefore very much worthy of telling. Granted, there are other individuals out there who have had to navigate through harsher circumstances than mine, but the purpose of this book is not to convince you, the reader, that I have had the worst upbringing imaginable. Conversely, my aim is to provide anyone who reads this with something that they can relate to and perhaps draw inspiration from, or even gain insight into how they can begin to analyze their own lives and upbringings. I would consider this book to be a success if I'm able to jumpstart the process of confronting the negative feelings that bog down many of you, mentally and or emotionally, in the same way that my childhood experiences routinely bind me. It's with great purpose that I entitled this book, Sitting in the Rain, Waiting for My Rainbow. Anyone who knows me well can attest to the fact that this is a metaphor that most accurately describes the struggles of my past and present life. First, let me start out by saying that I don't view rain as being a bad thing in either its physical or metaphorical sense. Second, I believe that it's very cleansing and that it has spiritual properties as well. Anyone who's ever intentionally stood or sat in a rain shower and just allowed themselves to take in the whole experience will definitely be able to relate to what I am saying. Everything that I plan to share with you is strictly autobiographical and is 100% true to me. My intention is not to defame, slander, nor embarrass anyone who I mention in this book. My life has unfolded on numerous stages, and there have been many actors who have participated in this production. In my opinion, anyone who feels some kind of way about how they've been depicted in this book should try replacing their anger and hostility with ownership, and instead try to understand how their action and or inactions have negatively affected me. For most of my life, my position has been that of a rock or a sounding board for everyone else around me. For as long as I can remember, I have been the type of person that willingly took on and internalized the issues of my closest friends and family members. With that being said, one of the chief reasons why I'm writing this book is to first process and then offload many of my own insecurities and issues. Furthermore, anyone who is mentioned in this book has in some way made an impact, whether good or bad, in my life via my childhood and adolescent years. I would also like to take the time to express to you that I do not view the negative actions or situations which I was placed in as a child as being detrimental to my well-being. I recognize that with every experience, whether positive or negative, there lies an opportunity for personal growth and development. But of course, there are some things that I wish I wouldn't have had to endure. But looking back in hindsight, I cannot help but to acknowledge the fact that some of my darkest days have also helped to shape the person who I've become. I will also be sharing with you some of my fondest moments of my childhood and some of the things that I'm most proud of, because I believe that my story will inspire young boys and girls around the world who might find themselves in harsh environments, stuck in undesirable circumstances, to push through their adversities and become determined for themselves and determine who and what they will grow up to be. Hopefully this book will introduce the reader to the concept of the self, or what I like to call self-determination. Granted, in this life we are all interdependent, but it's up to us to decide how much influence we will surrender to others around us and how much of an impact we will allow others to have on our lives. At some point, we must make our mind up and become determined to not allow our negative circumstances to defeat or destroy us. We must instead use these circumstances as a source of motivation and as a catalyst to rise above or push through any roadblock that appears to try to impede our progress. We must be prepared to turn a blind eye to anyone who cannot see or share our vision or where we want to be in our life. We must be prepared to turn a deaf ear at anyone who tries to deceive us or tries to discourage us from breaking away from what some consider normal of our environment. And most importantly, we must not allow ourselves or anyone else to trample on our and most importantly, we must not allow anyone to trample on our thoughts or steal our passion, especially if they're not the ones that gave it to us. Lastly, I am also penning this book to speak to the individuals who have reached out their arms and felt with their hands things that others couldn't see or feel, but were told that those things that they felt and desired were not real or were not important. My story is one for everyone or anyone who has ever grasped onto an idea that felt so realistic and so obtainable, but for whatever reason was forced to watch it fall away at the end of their fingertips. By sharing my experiences, I want to encourage them to not give up on themselves, but instead reposition themselves in such a way that they can again grasp on and secure that which previously they thought was lost, but this time never let go.